All right, everybody. Welcome to the Spring Legion podcast, a podcast where we will be talking about the wild turkey and those who hunt them for the greater foreseeable future. I'm your host, Hunter Farrior. I'm the founder of Spring Legion, joining you today by Austin Sills and Chase Farrior, a good buddy and a brother, and two familiar faces to those who have tuned in the past. And for the first time in a very, very long time, all is right in the world, all three of us together in the same room. So, good to see you. Good to see you.
It's good to be back, finally.
Very good to be back.
What y'all been up to?
Chasing deer. That's about it. Chasing deer, getting ready for spring. I actually saw some turkeys the other day on my cameras, and it got me all excited.
How much you chase?
Not too much. Deer hunting a little bit here and there. Working on some things, doing a lot of skull mounts and things like that, and just keeping myself busy, filling orders, everything in between.
Yep.
So,
Good skull mounts. You got one of mine right now.
I got one of them. Yep. It'll be done here in a couple days.
Well,
What have you been up to, Hunter?
not sleeping, which is kind of usual, but nah, I've been I did a little deer hunting,
Yeah, we
but
did.
we didn't. Me and Sills went deer hunting for the first time in a long time the other day, so it's good to be back where we're able to do stuff like that, regardless of how that turns out. I think more than anything, Sills and I talked about turkey hunting the whole time, and we've got a lot of stuff kind of in the works with Spring Legion, so it's growing, and we're now kind of to the point where, oh yeah, got to tell everybody I moved back to Mississippi. That's why we're all here. This isn't a one-time thing.
Yeah.
This is for sure. This is how the podcast is going to be from now on. So we've all three of us has kind of had a hand in creating this little video studio. Yeah, I'm forgot. Folks don't know this yet. So pretty much what we've all been up to, and a lot of that lack of sleep, it kind of comes down to making this as cool as we could possibly make it, as feasible as possible, to where we can bring a good product to the podcast world. Now that we are all back together and we want to make the most of it, and I hope y'all like it as much as we kind of like it. We like it enough to film our podcast here. We've invested into some cameras and some mics and stuff like that. A whole lot of lights. This is a lot more lights than I really ever expected. But here we are, and now we just got to find some stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
Y'all got anything to talk about, or? Yeah, we got some stuff to talk about.
We got plenty. Yeah.
Yep. So for the next few weeks, this is kind of a trailer episode for folks who usually tune in, or if you're new. Spring Legion is a brand that we created in 2019 that is really just dedicated to a higher standard of turkey hunting, so to speak. Is something that really encapsulates the mindset of turkey hunters as we know them. And down here in the South, we're from Mississippi. Turkey hunting, turkey hunters are almost a culture in itself, and in some areas it's a religion, or at least close to religion. And I think we're all three proud to say we're from one of those areas where it is dang near a religion, and we wanted something to kind of necessarily celebrate that, but bring a little light to it, something that we think kind of sets turkey hunters aside from everywhere else. I think turkey hunters are different. They carry themselves differently. They're meticulous to a degree of aggravation. I know y'all get aggravated with my meticulousness, if that's even a word. All the time, but it's just part of it, and it's just who you are, and I wanted something to celebrate that, so Spring Legion came about. Me and Seal sat in a guest bedroom and stitched a couple hats together, and then Chase hopped on and started helping with the podcast, and we sat down and had a $20 little plug into your computer mic and started the podcast 3 years ago, and never thought it would grow to be something this big. But now we have a video version, so
Yeah.
I think it's a big step. It's something that we've been wanting to do for several years, or at least the past year and a half, I'd say, but we're not able to because I was living 7 hours away. So now we're not. Now we're able to do this. We're going to be incorporating a lot of the videos from this past spring into the podcast audio version, if that makes sense. So believe it or not, I know the podcast ended abruptly. I think it was March 21st of last year. It all of a sudden ended, and that was kind of halfway on purpose.
Yeah.
Not to mention we were pretty busy turkey hunting,
Right.
but I kind of made the executive decision to put a halt with no warning to anybody that I wanted to save everything from then on for the upcoming 2024 spring turkey season. And so that's what we did, and we actually kind of got a pile of it. So we're going to have to really flush through these episodes pretty quick to get them all out in time for y'all to hear them before spring 2024 really kicks into gear again. Kind of going into the plan a little bit. This is a little bit of a pilot trailer episode, and then on the 1st of January 2024, we are going to start releasing our usual weekly episodes. That's going to correlate with the videos of hunts that we're talking about. Some of them are already on our YouTube channel, which is at Spring Legion. We hope y'all will follow that, subscribe to it, and kind of follow along because it's going to kind of go hand in hand with some of the stuff we're talking about on this. If you're hearing this in your truck riding to work and stuff like that, chances are a video version of this released on YouTube the Saturday prior. So we're going to upload the video versions on Saturdays. That's our goal, at least every week once they start pumping out weekly on our YouTube. And then the following Monday, the Monday following the releases on YouTube, will be available on the Spotify's, the Apple Podcasts, and all that good stuff. So you'll have the option to hear it regardless, but if you want to hear it first, you have to watch it, stream it, listen to it on the YouTube, and then with that, you can kind of go back and watch the hunt we're talking about. I don't know how we're going to get this in on the editing side, but we got to figure that out. I can't go an hour without drinking water. But and then and this is banking on us figuring out the editing part. But so I think we've got a couple hunts that we're going to dive into first, and that's going to be some that we do have on the YouTube channel. Which is one of my favorites is going to be the Mississippi Delta hunt, where I was proved incredibly wrong about there being no turkeys in the Mississippi Delta.
Yep.
And y'all remember that one? That was pretty fun. That's going to be, if I had to guess, that's January 1st episode right there. So we're going to go from there. We're going to dive into y'all's Florida stuff, more Mississippi hunts. I got 2 in Georgia that we can air. All these are already on the YouTube. But kind of the kicker is, I'd say late April to all through May and even into June, we all went hunting, and with the exception of 1 or 2 times, Chase and I, we were not together.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
we made a vow on that 21st of March or whenever we decided to put an end to it to make this cool. We're not going to talk about these hunts until we build a studio to talk about it, till we can video the podcast, till we get everything we need to make this as good as we possibly can make it for our listeners, to have sincere reactions, sincere stories, all that good stuff to the hunts we're talking about. I haven't heard them from Sills. Chase hasn't heard them from me. Sills hasn't heard them from Chase. All these hunts that y'all are going to be listening to after we get through the stuff that I'd say mid-January, we're going to be really diving into stuff that we haven't heard, that we're telling for the first time. Y'all are hearing it for the first time just as much as these folks will be hearing it from the first time, and I'll be hearing from them. So we hope it, keeps everything really authentic. Nothing's kind of being, regurgitated for the 9th time, and you start losing details and start losing all kinds of, cool things that you forgot about, and kind of the sincerity to, storytelling, which is what we're here to do. We're here to tell stories and here to listen to stories, and we're avid podcast listeners just as much as, distributed them. So, and I know turkey hunters like talking about turkey hunting.
That's a fact.
But aside from that, we have got a couple of different projects we've been working on, and that's what's kept us busy here, and kind of delayed this a couple weeks more than I wanted it to be. But we have gone from a higher standard in turkey hunting shirts and hats to gear and apparel. So we are branching off into the gear market. That's been something that has been a long time coming, and something that we have worked on for 2 years, I think, at least. First being, figuring it out, because this is not nearly as easy as I thought it was going to be. Branching into an industry such as, actual gear that you're going to wear turkey hunting. That's always been kind of in the game plan, but at the same time, I wasn't sure about it. I never wanted to just dive into it. I liked what we had going at work. It was easy, but it's something that a lot of folks have asked over the years. When are you going to start coming out with stuff that we can wear turkey hunting? Hoodies just wasn't cutting it. That's just a casual kind of thing you wear around. So we broke down and tried to think of some things that we thought were needed in the turkey hunting, actual hunting realm. The first was going to be something that 5 years ago I thought was sacrilegious to turkey hunting, and that was wearing anything other than, lacrosse granges with mud all over them and stuff. That's what turkey hunters wear. Started traveling around a little bit and learned that it's really hard to climb a mountain in Caterpillar, Tennessee in a pair of granges, and I learned that the hard way, and I learned every other mountain I had to climb in them the hard way as well. So broke down, got us some shorter hiking boots and stuff, and then some gaiters that we liked. They were real hot. They worked for the waterproof side, but they were tough to tote around and stuff, and kind of loud. So first thing that came to mind was I want some thinner gaiters. I want some gaiters that are made for turkey hunting, not for caribou hunting. And we broke down, and I've been in touch with a million different manufacturers in the past 2 seasons. Finally got some that were able to get us pretty close to where we wanted them before the end of 2023, and I was able to wear a lot of them through the season to just literally sift through yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. Found a pair, wore it the whole season, and they held up great. They did great. They did exactly what I want them to do. I said, this is what I want, this is what I want to, provide and to offer to the public if we can get them made, and we are. So that's some good news. We're going to drop a link. We're going to drop a little image here. I don't even know if we can figure that out on the video side, where you'll be able to find a little more information on these gators. They're releasing January 1 with our first real episode of the podcast. So we hope y'all check them out. It's something that we're really excited about. And we've got a couple more things that are in the gear industry. I hate saying the industry word, that are in the gear realm that will be coming out in late January that you're not going to want to miss as well. And that has taken up a majority of my time for the past at least 6 months. Mm-hmm. So that's something that we wanted to let y'all know about here on the first kind of return episode. Was something to look forward to on the Spring Legion side, aside from the podcast. But we're going to get into a couple of different things here to kind of kick it off, get the stuff, get the juices flowing again. This is about it took us 9 takes just to get the Welcome to the Spring Legion podcast out without laughing or, messing up. Once we got that good, everything was all right. But I mean, we're a little rusty. I ain't gonna lie. It's been a minute.
It has.
Y'all need to talk.
I don't think us three have recorded a podcast.
Oh shoot!
In a while,
A long time.
maybe a year.
At least.
Yeah. I know for a while it was when you were in Georgia. It was me and Chase, and the last one we did in Florida was just me and Chase. I think we had planned to do one after that Mississippi hunt, and then we decided to make the vow and
that makes sense.
Not talk about it. So I think it's probably been a year.
Mm-hmm.
We've all three been together.
We did the live ones. You know, in Auburn and
that's true.
Right.
And in Nashville, and then I didn't make the one in Rick's having a baby. And
I forgot about that.
Mm-hmm. So I wasn't there for that. And then I want to say the last one, if you went back an episode, was the Florida hunt. Was it?
The last one
you weren't on a Florida. Oh,
no.
On episode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, last one was a Florida hunt.
Yeah.
Which I still don't know anything about because I didn't even listen to it either.
With that being said, we recorded the Florida podcast the day before you killed a turkey.
Really?
So that wasn't even on there.
Yeah, it was actually us talking about my Mississippi turkey, I think.
It was off.
Yeah,
Okay.
we
over
we
the day.
recorded it in a hotel room in Florida though.
Yep. But that was the day before you killed your Florida turkey.
Yep.
Whew. Yeah, we got a lot to catch up on.
Man.
Oh yeah.
I'll just about release some stuff
Yeah.
that Hunter doesn't know about.
Really?
Yeah, I wanted to say something about how we even were doing the podcast,
gonna
and you
have
don't
to
know
wait.
that.
That's one thing I'm excited about is hearing about the hunts because
Yeah.
like especially me and Hunter talk
Mhm.
after just about every kill, and not doing that
It's been weird.
has been
It's-
weird.
Yeah.
I killed that deer with my bow. What was that? I guess
Yeah.
a little while back, and he texted me and said, "Call me when you get in the truck so we can talk about it." I was like, "Holy cow, we can talk about
We'll
this."
get to talking about it.
This
Deer
ain't
is
turkey.
off limits.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we can talk about this one. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I mean, heck, I went on a long trip there hunting, and some of it didn't even make it to social media. You
Yeah.
know, a lot of the stories and stuff I wanted to talk about. And I was thinking, I don't want Sills and Chase to hear it. You know, and that's been fun. You know, it's not like we don't know. Y'all don't know. I killed one in Minnesota, but y'all don't know about the 2 days prior to that where, I mean, it was a gauntlet and Murphy's Law was evident in every corner. And I went through 5 boxes of shells and traded vests out left and right and what kind of voodoo is on me now. And it was rough. I was questioning everything I've ever learned about turkey hunting. And so that's stuff y'all don't know about, and it's going to be, y'all going to get a kick out of it. I might not retelling it because I'm thinking about it now and going, this was rough on me.
Yeah.
Rough on the mental side of things. It kept me up at night. And on nights I didn't need to be kept up on because I was about worn out. But it's going to be cool. And the stuff that we got on video, some of it's good, some of it's really cool, and some of it's not that great.
Yeah.
And that's why we have a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
We're not videographers by all means. Chase is a little better than us on the video side. He's been practicing it for a little while, and mine, there's several hunts where you can sometimes see a turkey, sometimes you can't, sometimes you just see dirt and hear calling gobbles and a gunshot, and that's just I got to figure out a way to keep a camera on because I forget about them, and there's several turkeys that are still walking today, remaining unkilled because of that camera. And I got to figure some stuff out before next season because I'm about to start swinging it at them at some point because I was getting pretty frustrated. So, yeah, a lot of authentic reactions going to be on those videos if we figure out how to edit them and bundle them up and put them in a real video. But a lot of cool stuff happened, a lot of stuff that I'm really looking forward to getting out there and work that I'm looking forward to doing because it's going to kind of take us back into the mindset of spring, which is where our minds spend. Mine spends 12 months out of the year. Pretty safe to say. At least every day I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about, between memories and anticipation for the upcoming, memories that haven't been made yet. I'm always thinking about it. And, I mean, that's just why we created this, for us to talk about turkey hunting. And I know other folks are, cut from that same cloth and want to talk about it just as much and listen to it. And we got a lot to provide for that. And I'm proud to say we were able to pull a lot of stuff off that was out there. It was a reach for a couple guys winging it.
Right.
So, but we're going to dive into those later. We're not going to get into it because I feel that rabbit hole kind of starting to form here. We're going to run down, and I'm trying not to do that on this one. This is just to kind of test the waters, test how this is going to work, make sure the lights work, make sure that y'all can hear us on these microphones, and make sure the video is correlated right. We got to figure out how to edit them. And then in the background, we're going to be editing these videos. If you have followed us on YouTube, you've seen some videos that we've put out from this past spring that are the whole hunt. It is press record, let it ride till it runs out of battery. Some of them we were able to get on the camera, some of them died, some of them, the camera's still back there where we left it last. If I was holding it, I guarantee you it is probably still there right now.
We know of at least one.
Yeah.
That is sitting there.
Yeah.
That we don't know where.
A good one. One that had a lot on it.
Yeah.
It is. It's somewhere between northern Oklahoma and South Dakota.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure I know where it is, but I actually drove back through when Chase and them came and met me somewhere in Kansas. And I was like, guys, I lost the camera. Didn't lose a SIM card. I lost the whole daggum camera. And it had some of the coolest stuff on there. Let me tell you, like, of all the cameras I wanted to lose, this was the cheapest one we had, so that's the one I was responsible for, was the cheap one. But needless to say, I happened to, carry it around with me everywhere. So it's a little different than lugging around one of these more expensive cameras where you don't really want to mess it up. I didn't care about messing this one up. It was there to get, as much as it could and the lifetime that it had. And rest in peace, buddy, but it did not last too long after I really started getting into hunting all day, every day for a week or two. And that's actually going to kind of segue into the one story I felt comfortable telling here. Y'all don't know about it, but it's one that's not on video. It's not going to be on video unless there's a good Samaritan in Kansas that finds this mini camera. And on that camera is a bird in West Virginia that I filmed for the sole purpose of just 5 seconds. I zoomed in, filmed him strutting for 5 seconds, and put it back in my bag and then carried on. That's not where I left it, but I did that because that was my first hunt of the spring where I didn't have a camera, and I kept it accidentally, so to speak, in my vest. And I wanted that to be a real turkey hunt without worrying about the cameras, without worrying about all this stuff that we've kind of started piecing into it, which is not necessarily as bad of a thing that I thought it was going to be. I was kind of worried this was going to get in the way of, not get in the way of killing a turkey, get in the way of, appreciating the moment. I never wanted to call differently than I would call if there wasn't a camera. I never wanted to react differently if there wasn't a camera. As time went on, I learned that don't change, Pretty literally, you forget about the camera, especially, or at least I do. But it didn't interfere with the feelings that you feel in turkey hunting nearly as much. But the stresses of, trying something new, trying to, make this work, and it's something that we're not great at. I'm not going to say we're great at turkey hunting, but we really ain't great at filming. So it's stuff that required conscious work and consciousness part of your mind, for the pretty much entirety you're trying to do both. So it was a relief for me to kind of branch out. I was up there with my buddy Gary Stanton. We had also been through the gauntlet the past couple of days, and I'm going to get him on here to tell a little bit about that. I'm not going to tell about those hunts because I do have a little bit of film from that on a different camera when I was filming Gary. Had a great time. Kinda, it was one of those like, this is getting rough now, but on the last day that I was going to be there, decided to branch off, go by myself, and just appreciate turkey hunting for what it is, or what I've known it to be. It was raining. I mean, it was exactly what I'm not going to say I love going and sitting in the rain, but it was everything I needed and more when it comes to if I could just have a turkey hunt to myself. Out of the eyes of anybody else, with nobody. That's the first time I hunted by myself all year too. I'd had someone with me every other hunt besides one. Yeah. I had one other hunt in Georgia that was by myself. But this was a good, breath of fresh air. The one in Georgia was a place I've hunted before several times. I hadn't really gotten that to scratch the exploring new grounds. Right. Just me and a turkey that I met that morning, develop a quote-unquote relationship with that turkey, kill him in 2 or 3 days, or get beat by him in 3 days and have to leave, and then you think about him for a year. Hadn't gotten to do that yet, and we'd already gotten into late April, May. And Gary had roosted one. He was going to go hunt, and I was like, we knew where some were, and it's because we bumped them the afternoon, a couple afternoons prior, and in West Virginia you can't hunt after 1 or noon or something like that, but you can scout. So we were out kind of scouting around and found some, and actually, I think it was Gary. Yeah, Gary kind of bumped one or bumped another one, and they ran out. And by the time I was able to kind of get over there and lay eyes on it, I just saw them where they kind of went up. They were walking uphill or up a foothill of a mountain, and kind of went towards the top. And then I came back the next day. This was not roosting time, but it was close to it when Gary and I were there. But came back the next morning. I was trying to get there at 3 o'clock because I knew that's probably where they roosted, but I don't know where they came out at because this was the afternoon. I just knew, it's the only woods, everything behind me was a cutover, and there's a big open hill. This is where video comes in helpful because this is very hard to explain. So I knew they'd be on that side, obviously, but I didn't know anything else. And I came back the next morning, and there was a car stuck on a railroad track or something, and it was like 3 cars in front of me. So I'm trying to get there really early, and obviously I don't, because they had to like just stop all this traffic, and there wasn't but like 2 cars, me and one other person, so they were not in a hurry. This was at 3 in the morning, get a little tow truck out there or something, and took forever, and I didn't get there first. Somebody else had gotten there first, and there's a truck that had been there a couple times that I'd seen. So I know he knows about them, and I'm a little disappointed. I don't really get on anything else. And then we hunted a couple different more places together and stuff. So getting into the hunt I'm talking about. So I'm frustrated. I want to go hunt by myself. Gary wants to go hunt by himself, and we're like, deal. Let's give it a go. Spread out. And I get in there. I managed to get in there early, and I get in there real early. Because I wanted to beat the rain, so to speak. So I got in there early. It hadn't rained yet. Starts drizzling. Starts sure enough raining. But I'm sitting there like under a tree. I wind up getting the old green leaf jacket that I've talked about in Ballad of a Turkey Hunter and stuff that y'all have seen several times. Coming so handy in situations like this. Make some little tent over me and kind of get under it, and I'm gonna wait this out, because this is it. It's my last morning here. And I'm just going to sit here, and I got to think about turkey hunting. I got to think about everything I love about turkey hunting, stuff that, has happened before and stuff, just kind of reflect on a lot of stuff. And much, much needed morning. And I never called. I didn't even bring a lot of my calls because I knew it was going to rain. It rained a lot longer than I thought it was going to. It was supposed to kind of just miss for a second and then get on out of there. It didn't, but it started pouring. I was there. I'm like, this is where I am, be where your feet are kind of deal. Like, made the most of it, made a little tent. And it was just like a little bit of a dry. And then after that, it started just pouring through it, and I was soaking wet. I'd picked my tree, and I had my wing. I had a little scratch box was in my pocket that we used in Alabama. It's a little, you kind of pop it like that. And I had that, and I had, I don't think I brought my slate calls and stuff. I know I brought my mouth call pouch, so I have my mouth calls because I don't care if they get wet. But I had my wing in that little scratch box by accident, honestly, and my mouth calls, and I was sitting there and just trying not to get drenched. I just sat there. The rain lifted, and I'd almost kind of not forgotten I was turkey hunting, but just wanted to really soak it in and just see what happened naturally. And if I had to sit at that tree until 1, I was going to. Because we had bumped these turkeys twice, actually. We had seen them 2 afternoons before and bumped them both times. They saw us before we saw them. We weren't hunting them, but it still was not a good feeling knowing that they saw humans walk in here.
Right.
And judging by the boot tracks, they'd seen a lot of hunters walking through here, because it must be a very known area. It looks good on the map. It looks good in person. But there's a lot of boot tracks walking right kind of where I was at. So I didn't want to do anything that would be too typical, walking there, stay on the road and call and let them know where I'm at. So I waited and waited and waited. And about 9 o'clock, I'm sitting there, and I'm just really kind of not dazed off, but really, in a deep thought about turkey hunting and all the, the times that have gone good and bad and all this stuff, and how just soaking in the smells of it, the sounds of it. And one hammers, like, I don't even know how to gauge how far or how close he was. It was that unexpected. I was not expecting a gobble at all at this point. This is 9:30, 10. And I can tell it's in the open, and I can see all of the open. So I'm a little thrown off, and my gun's kind of there, on my knee is soaking wet, and I'm trying to I remember sitting there like just trying to cover up everything I could in that rain. After a while, I'm like, well, you just got to let loose after a while. Like, right. It's going to get wet. But so I'm kind of using my gun. I didn't really move my gun at all. I just kind of picked it up and put it on my other knee and just waited and waited and waited. And I was like, I don't want to call because I know he's been hearing this left and right. He gobbled once, and that was it.
Mm-hmm.
And for about 40 minutes, I'm kind of sitting there like, I know I'll have to see him at this point, because I'm on the highest point. I'm looking down I'm on the edge of the wood line. It's wooded kind of mountain behind me, and it's an open valley almost. It's a big, I guess they can see me now. This is awesome.
Oh,
yeah, we're on video. But it's like, it's a big ridge that comes out that it had gotten cut at one time. So the wood line stops here. The ridge keeps going and kind of eases on down, but there's two, hollows on each side. Both other times I'd seen them, they had been on this side and this side, and they ran up to the top and run by this one tree that I'm sitting by. And I had to have my mind like, heck, worst comes to worst. If I sit here until 1 o'clock, chances are, if there's some, jerk out there that wants to kind of come in on me, as long as he comes in before 1 o'clock, I know they're going to run up this way, I would think. But that didn't happen. I'm kind of glad it didn't, because I was able to sit there, and eventually I called a couple times and nothing. And then I got nervous. I'm like, he's either out there or I've run him off, and I wanted to get to where I could make sure I could see down in those hollows before they would have walked off if they did catch on to, the jig is up kind of deal if I did call. So I called a couple times, waited just a few minutes. I didn't feel confident that he even heard it, so I was like, all right, I'm okay moving. I get up a little higher, and I'm able to see down in there, and way off in there I can see him standing there, in full strut. And by that time, I would say 6 or 7 hens had come to him, and it's just, divine luck. As I peek over this edge, I see him gobble one more time. Mm-hmm. That's the second time he gobbled. He only gobbled twice total. And I'm telling you, it was the coolest thing I'd ever seen, because as much as I think I know about turkey hunting, this reminded me I don't know nothing about turkey hunting. I don't know nothing about the behaviors of wild turkeys, apparently. Because it just blew my mind at how this operation worked, and it was truly an operation of how a hen-dup longbeard acts completely natural without any type of influence whatsoever. So I just felt like I was literally just a fly on the wall getting to watch this happen firsthand, really for the first time. Like, any other time I'd seen it, and really just studied it, I was trying to kill him, pretty quick. I was calling at him, trying to peel him off and all this stuff. But he gobbled. That one time I called up 6 or 7 that came out the woodworks, and I don't know where they came from. And then he gobbled that one time, and I'm telling you, these hens just appeared out of nowhere. They were like standing by this one lone tree and just walked over to him, and then this one came over to him, and then one walked down here, and it was just like they were just gravitating just magnetically towards this longbeard sitting out there strutting. And he was real black, his fans up, his one in the middle, I think, not the very bottom, but he's one of the bigger fans I'd seen, and beautiful. You can tell a big old head out there, and he was just, the boss. You could tell. There was no doubt about it. But what happened after that kind of really just opened my eyes to see what is happening most of the time. I would be willing to bet when the longbeards end up and you're sitting there wailing on a call trying to get him, to peel off or anything like that. He looks so stressed out. I've never felt a turkey's emotions like that in my entire life. He was just, it was all he could do to corral these hens. It wound up being probably 12. Dang. One longbeard, 12 hens. And one would walk off and he'd have to run over there and get her. And then another one would kind of ease off and he'd have to run back in here and get her. And then 3 would walk off this way. They kind of split in a group, and he'd have to run over there and pull them back, and then run over here and pull them back. Broke strut, and would run. And he'd run uphill, he'd run downhill, and he did not care. And I've never just understood it so much. And it might have been a state of mind I was in at the time. I was, under a lot of stress and stuff like that. I'm like, I feel you, buddy. Mm-hmm. There's just so much stuff going haywire, and you're just trying to corral it, and you're trying to, just get a hand on it, And buddy, he did all he could to just get them in a wad almost. It was like a sheepdog almost. Right. But I've never just seen a turkey's emotions on his sleeve like that. He was stressed out. If turkeys could sweat, he was sweating. And the last thing he wanted was another hen, I promise you. And I'm like, man, this is probably why when you sit there and try to call him off, he is saying, please no. And he's probably pushing the hens the other way, saying, do not go near that hen. Right. This is all, my hands are so full right now, I cannot handle number 15 over here. Which completely just, made so much sense. So much stuff had gone on in the woods before, where you call and you're like, the main debate is, are the hens jealous and walking away, or is the hens want him to peel off to you because they're annoyed by him, so they're walking the other way? I bet you he's pushing them the other way because he does not want to add to that, rat nest of a day he's having so far. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of work, kind of working these hens like you would any other kind of, cattle or anything like that. Which was just I mean, it blew my mind. I don't know if y'all have ever gotten to experience anything like that, but it was really cool. And then I was okay with not killing this turkey at this point. I was hanging on to this as long as I could. I got to thinking, man, I did sit in the rain for about 4 hours for this. It wouldn't hurt to give it a try. But after this had gone through my mind, the last thing I wanted to do was add pressure to him, as another hen, trying to call him over here and, kind of what you would usually do. So this kind of goes back to, let me think if this is before or after. This is another hunt we haven't talked about, so I don't want to say too much. I watched the hen kind of cluck around a couple times, and I think this might have been the same trip or not long before it. I watched the hen cluck around a couple of times and kind of pull a hen over to her. And as far as I could tell, it was kind of like just a couple quick clucks here and there with no purrs, really, so to speak. And it was kind of like a location call. Like they when they spread out, they would cluck here and cluck here and cluck here and cluck here. And it was just kind of like, here I am, here I am, here I am, just kind of directing, where the other one would go. One would cluck and then they'd kind of go this way, and one would cluck and go this way. And it's kind of like they were like, I don't know what they're saying, if it's, all is okay over here, or, it's just kind of their language, it's fun to study, but it's hard to understand. And so I did a couple clucks on that scratch box that I just magically happened to have, and it wasn't soaking wet because I did see it before it started getting waterlogged, and literally put it underneath my shirt so it wouldn't, because that would ruin it. Mm-hmm. And I had nothing. I could cluck on a mouth call, but you try clucking on a mouth call, it comes out as a putt, and it's kind of game over, So, and that little scratch box does sound pretty good. It's hanging up there somewhere. So got it out, popped it a couple times. I could tell that he started hearing it because they did start gravitating, but he kept trying to get in front of them. Mm-hmm. So he was trying to keep them from over here, and that's when it started clicking, not wanting, any extra stress and all that stuff. And this is complete speculation. This might not be how it works. Right. Dr. Chamberlain might hear this and go, close, but no. But this is what I was thinking at the time. And it kind of wound up working a little bit later in Michigan, the same scenario. But long story short, it wound up here and there, clucking every now and then, and those hens would kind of ease back, and then he finally kind of said, "All right, we'll go up there."
Right.
And it was really cool because they stopped. He comes up the hill, probably 60, 70 yards. He's probably 60 yards in front of me, I'd say. And I'm set up to shoot now. I've done kind of repositioned myself. I'm in the woods, not in the open, in the shadow, everything. They don't know I'm in the world. And these hens come up here. He comes up to kind of the very top, and it's almost like a doorway or something that I don't know about that they do. So he comes up and he stops by this stump, and he's walking at me, not in strut. He turns around, faces sideways in strut like he's guarding a door. And these hens all single file line, walk one by one by one up right next to him, right in front of his face. It's like he was letting the door in, letting them in. And just solid strut, didn't drum, didn't do nothing, didn't spit, didn't turn, nothing, just stone, just still as stone standing there. Until all 12 or however many it was passed by him on the last one. And this whole time they're walking, I'm talking from me to you, from me. Oh, I'm set up in the middle like this, and I'm dead still, and they're walking, they're clucking and doing this, and they want to go to this side of me, want to go to this side of me, want to kind of go around here. They know where they're going. I have no idea where they wound up going, but I'm watching him at, 60, and then he kind of turns around, and that last hen passes, he just follows suit with them and pushes them all back up. And kind of gets about 40, and he stops. And I had to make a noise or something, have my mouth call in, just enough for him to stick his head up and shot him at 30, 35, I'd say. But the coolest, I don't get to do that as much as I used to, obviously, but that was worth every bit of it right there. Just getting to really experience that and being able to use that. I use that later on, later in the season when it was henned up time. In some of the northern states later on. I'm like, well, if I can go back to kind of relate to that one story right there, I can handle this a little differently. I can not make it worse, that's for dang sure. Right. So I don't know if y'all have ever had an experience like this. This could be preaching to the choir, but that was really cool for me to see because it kind of debunked a lot of theories I had about henned up turkeys at that point.
Mm-hmm. No, that's totally something you wouldn't expect.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I would have never thought about him trying to keep from adding a hen to it
Right.
until you said it.
I mean, it kind of makes sense though when you think. I mean, when you
Yeah.
explain it that way, like it really does make sense. I hadn't seen it necessarily firsthand, but I mean, I get where it would be coming from.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's been many a times that you're working on a turkey when they're henned up, and you know I've done it. I've sat there and thought like of every scenario except that one.
Yeah.
Right.
I never would have thought of that. I mean,
Yeah.
I thought, do you make a move and try to circle him
Mm-hmm.
and get him, caught it from a different angle? Do you just
And what happens? They kind of start going this way.
That's right. But or do you sit there and try to call the hens over, try to make them mad? Do you, what do you do? But that's never crossed my mind. But like Chase said, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at him being henned up as work, he wakes up, puts his hard hat on, and goes to work, which is kind of what he's doing.
Yeah.
I mean, who wants? I mean, I felt like if I were to call, it would be like me walking into my boss's office and just going, "Hey, I got some more stuff, some problems for you," or
Right.
kind of something like that. I'm like, I can understand, I mean, he doesn't want more work right now.
Yeah.
Just let it ride and let if you can't get in front of them, then call to the hens, but don't kind of do some assembly yelping and stuff. Like, you ain't gonna call him off. That I mean, he's trying all he can to get this over with, not over with, but to get
Right.
this efficiently handled. He didn't breed a single one that I saw. So I mean, this was all just trying to get them, I guess, and just to submit to whatever his grand plan was of how many he could handle.
Right.
And then either move him elsewhere. He's probably just going to sit there and strut around all day. And I've actually done the whole clucking stuff before, but I was able to see it firsthand and make a little sense of the whole. I was talking about the location of them, and more than anything, it's safe over here. Is all I think a lot of clucks are. Is just, we're good. It's okay over here if you do want to come over here. It's not a bunch of turkeys over here, just me, just one or two of us, stuff like that. Or there's food. They cluck when they're, scratching and stuff like that, which these turkeys knew this was way better than I did. They knew where the food was. I wasn't going to try to tell them where it was. But just a little bit here and there, let the other hens know it's safe, kind of make them want to come over there maybe. And then that's when you get into the theory of maybe those hens are trying to peel off so, he'll stop bugging them. I don't know if they want to be there, if they wanted to be somewhere else or do something different, I don't know, but I'm thought he'd run over there, grab him by the head with his beak, turn him around like a bad kid or something, just like grab his ear and, pull him back, and he'd pull him back, and they'd kind of get back in there. And those other ones were advantageous. I mean, they'd wait for another one to run off, and he'd go get them, and they'd turn and try to walk off,
Yeah.
quietly.
Trying to slip out.
And he'd run back around and push them back. And I just remember thinking, if I call, if the bird had 5 fingers, he'd give me the bird, He did not want to hear that, which, I mean, I can't believe it's taken this long to see something like that and even think of that. But like you said, it makes pretty good sense to me.
Well, with that being said, most of the places we were on up hunting, you can't see like you could see.
Right.
So we're in hardwood river bottoms, creek bottoms. So
We always assume they
50
walk off.
yards, 60 yards, they may be standing there doing the same thing you're talking about. You just can't see them.
Mm-hmm. And I started thinking about other times. I'm thinking that's what was happening at the time back in whenever or wherever we were. I'm thinking that's exactly what was happening. But
Because there's been times I've had a turkey henned up, and you fool with him or wait on him 2 or 3 hours, however long you do, trying to fool with him, and you get up and walk, like, all right, I'm going to find another one. Well, you bump those turkeys walking out. So they didn't necessarily walk away. They just stood there, and that's very what he could have been doing is, herding his hens to stay in that same area.
And it makes sense for them to sit there and gobble, like, you can come here, but I ain't pushing 7 of them over there to you.
Right.
You are not that important. And, it makes a little sense. That's when you think, instead of trying to pull him backwards or pull him left and pull him right, can I get around and veer him one way or another? Keep him within 100 yards of where he's probably going anyway. Just make him pick the left side of this rock, or pick closer to the creek than he would if I didn't call. I'm not turning them. They're headed this direction. I just want them to walk within 40 yards of me, instead of let me make them walk, west if they're headed straight south,
Yeah.
And I mean, there was enough opportunities in the the weeks that followed that I was able to kind of reimagine what was happening in a different perspective, and I think it paid off. I mean, I think I wouldn't have killed the turkeys if I would have kind of went at it how I would have in March instead of April
after that hunt.
And I've been hunting turkeys a long time, and I change stuff a lot when it comes to how I perceive things. I don't change much as far as how I hunt them. But it's how I perceive what's happening is going to change what I do. The malacals and stuff like that ain't going to change. I'm still going to shoot an 870, and it's still probably hadn't been cleaned in a couple of years, and the shells are probably all three still different shells than the first ones I found. And I mean, that's just stuff that, I mean, we use the same slate call probably until I die, as long as they make them.
Right. Still going to call it glass call, slate call.
Yeah. I mean,
it's the same thing.
That don't change.
And he's still going to act like he has 3 shells.
Yeah.
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 Which really is 1.
Yeah.
If we're lucky.
I mean, there's been times when there wasn't 1.
Yep.
But there's a couple times in the weeks that followed that story where I needed all 3, and we're gonna get into those.
Yeah.
So we've gone a long time without making fun of seals about missing, because I can't do that anymore. Because I missed some too, and it was more than 1, and it was a lot to handle.
I don't know if we can give a spoiler or not, but for everybody that listens to y'all give me grief on missing, only 1 this year.
Only 1.
Only
Nice.
1. I think
Really?
yeah. There was only 1 miss.
Yeah.
Every other one was shot at one single time.
Mm-hmm.
Congratulations, Sills. I'm
So-
proud of you.
Got it figured out.
Yeah. I know one of them, and this is one that folks can see on the YouTube already, was like 13 steps, that one in Alabama.
Yeah.
That's a cool video.
With a loose red dot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. That may have just been luck there, because it sure was.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's easy to miss them when they're that close. That's for
Oh,
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. That.
Not-
You were already there, and he's already seen it. I remember.
He hadn't seen the whole hunt.
What?
the
The Alabama hunt of
Mm.
mine.
Okay.
I just showed him. I put a little clip together, like he's seen the kill.
Yeah,
Like
that's all it was on YouTube.
I think it was
is
like 7
just
seconds.
the quick,
Mhm.
the kill shot, and that was
It's
it,
on
pretty
like
much.
4 or 5 minutes, I think.
Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
real long.
That's all we put on the YouTube, and that's all I've seen is what's on the YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I mean, it wasn't a long hunt though.
no,
I mean,
but there's a lot that went into that hunt, that we're going to
beforehand.
be adding into these videos and stuff, which I think is going to be a really cool thing. That
Yeah.
one West Virginia turkey, that's the only one I remember thinking, I'm so glad I don't have a camera here. But I remember, like, I do have a camera here if I really did need it for the outro, not the outro, but like to log it. I've learned to like logging stuff so I can go home and show my dad, who has never been to West Virginia and will probably never turkey hunt West Virginia, but I can at least go show him this is what it looks like in spring turkey season in this, state that, I don't know, I'd be very, why would he go to West Virginia to hunt,
Right.
however old he is? So, I mean, it's just cool to bring that back or bring it back and show y'all, and this is what happened. And then we've had some wild stuff happen on camera that I'm like, that's cool to have,
Yeah.
a turkey doing this or that or something happening. And but I remember thinking, I'm glad I didn't have a camera, but I wanted to get 5 seconds of this turkey so I could remember this, and I can see it so vividly because I watched it on that same mountain. I'm like, I'm glad I got that while he was still alive. The video of this turkey, and then I explained it a lot in a video that we were going to put on YouTube. I just lost the whole dang camera, and I really hate it because there was multiple mornings on that camera where things didn't pan out, and I was kind of considering at the time making an entire series of just not mess ups, but times, the things that didn't work out. I mean, you don't go out there and kill turkeys every time.
Right.
Some people might but if they hunt it every single day, they're not going to kill every single morning.
Right.
That's just a fact. And the folks who kill a lot of turkeys usually are the folks who turkey hunt a lot more.
Right.
And that's all it comes down to. I mean, we're not world champion callers by all means. There are better woodsmen out there, probably in this county, in this neighborhood could be. And I've learned stuff from 10-year-olds. I mean, the past 2 years, I've learned stuff from 10-year-olds who have a different perspective, and I was able to learn something from them. And then it's just, I mean, it's not ever evolving, but it's an ever revolving kind of state of mind. You've got to reset it to see how does this work? How does this work? Am I right? Correlation versus causation is what I did make this happen, or I did this and it just happened to make this happen.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen every time. And nothing you do is going to work every time. And there's no way in the world you're going to predict a turkey's behavior.
Mm-mm.
The only predictable thing about turkey is that they're unpredictable.
So that's exactly what I was about to say. The only guaranteed thing is you can't guarantee what a turkey's going to do. I was going to say it different than you did, but yeah, it's
and that ain't subject to change.
No.
Turkeys were unpredictable in the 1800s, and they're going to be unpredictable when our grandkids hunt them.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when we were younger, and I would have I remember when we were younger, and we would hunt Cane Lake, and I would hunt a turkey that morning, and he would do one thing. I'd go back that evening, I'd roost him, and you would be like, you'd come down the next morning, and it changed. I had to change how I told you because I knew what I was saying.
Yeah.
But I'd say, I guarantee you this turkey's going to do this in the morning.
Right.
Well, that's not guaranteed. I'm telling you what he did this morning.
Yesterday,
Yeah,
But still, I don't care if you watched him fly up and what limb he's on. I don't trust he's on that limb.
yeah.
Never.
But Sills would know the vicinity of, hey, the bottom is here and this and that, and this is the way they work. And a lot of times they do
Something similar.
something similar to that. They're not. You don't know they're going to walk down this path, but
Yeah, it's not like a deer. They're not going to necessarily use the same exact trail.
you know where they eat.
Right.
And if there's a lot of acorns down here, if there's a good, mass crop or however you say the correct words for that, and there's been a lot of rain, and it probably washed a lot down in there, they're probably gonna be at the very bottom. They're not gonna be scratching at the top.
Right.
You can connect dots like that, but man, I'm the worst. If I can go listen to a turkey fly, watch him with my eyes on a tree, and I still don't consider him roosted. I'm like, man, anything can happen. I won't like go sit down on a tree like waiting for him to. I just don't trust. Most times they're probably on that same limb, but that's how much respect I have for the wits of a turkey. Like thinking that, man, that bird knows I know about him. Something's gonna happen.
Well, I do know on one instance that I watched one fly up, and before I left, I watched him jump from limb to limb about 3 or 4 times.
Mm-hmm.
So he was still in the same area, but he wasn't on that limb that he originally flew up on. So if I'd have slipped out when he first flew up,
Right.
and there's no telling how many times I or anybody else has watched one fly. I was like, all right, he's roosted there, and he may jump, but I'd have never known he jumped if I wouldn't have sat there and hung out.
Yeah.
I was on the phone with one of y'all. I saw a turkey at night one night.
Me.
Was it
I was
you?
on the, you said a Jake just ran across the road.
It was a Jake Eastern turkey ran across, and this was 11:30 at night.
At least.
I almost hit it. I'm driving from Mississippi to Georgia,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm coming through Gadsden area or something like that in Alabama, and I'm running. I'm going 65, and I see you can see turkey's eyes, like you can see a human's eye in a flash or something like that. They're somewhat nocturnal, I guess. Oh, they ain't nocturnal, but I mean, you know what I mean. They have the flash in their eye.
I follow what you say.
Like a deer shine?
Kinda, yeah.
It shines a little bit?
Yeah, it's like red or something.
I did not know that.
Well, I saw this little dot coming out of like my fog lights, and I'm like, that coon is getting it. If that's a coon, and all of a sudden, a Jake runs across the road. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? I knew I was on the phone with somebody. I'm like, you're not gonna believe this, but I just saw a turkey run across this road at 11:30 at night.
Yeah,
and
I was like,
hauling.
You were full of it. Yeah.
He was hauling.
But the shock in your voice, I could tell.
Yeah.
It definitely wasn't a raccoon.
No, it was a turkey. I mean, I
it was
almost hit it with my
100%
truck.
a raccoon. I mean, a turkey.
And that's the last thing I expected it to be, and I'm like, kind of shocked. I'm like, I didn't know they could do that. I don't know where he went or what made him go that way, but he was getting there in a hurry.
And at some point last year, I remember seeing like a viral trail cam picture of a long beard at night.
And everybody's like, told you that.
At like 3 a.m.
Yeah.
And it was like, the big, everybody chiming in, everything. I remember seeing that. So whenever you said that, I was like, man, no.
But,
yeah, I believe you. I mean, I do. But that's pretty much why a lot of people, if I go hunt with somebody, especially somebody new, like, let's go roost one. I'm like, we ain't got to. We can sit on the blacktop and listen to your property, or get on somewhere in the middle. But I don't want to go sit where you think he's gonna roost up.
I never
because
try to.
I don't trust myself.
Yeah,
I've been burned too many times, and I know that it's never and always.
Yeah, I never try to sit like where I go, but I enjoy sometimes in the evenings
Yeah.
and just going to sit out in the woods.
Right,
And,
right.
my thoughts on roosting a turkey are not watching him fly up.
Just
It's,
getting-
being able to tell when he's gobbling on the ground and when he flies up, if they're gobbling.
Right.
And know the vicinity he's in. I'm not trying to go watch him, but I know that, like I said, that one, and it happens sometimes. You just happen to be in the spot.
Right.
I've accidentally gotten real close to
Right.
roosted longbeard way more than I have purposely gotten roosted longbeard without him gobbling.
Right.
I would much rather listen from the gate, listen from the hood of the truck, and work my way in, just to, because not all turkeys gobble in the evening, especially in Mississippi. I've talked to who do we talk to? A guy from Pennsylvania. We were in Tuscaloosa area or something. Or no, we weren't in Tuscaloosa. I don't remember where we were. We're in Alabama at public land. Came across this guy from Pennsylvania. And he was like, I tried. He kept saying, like, do turkeys here not gobble on the limb in the evenings? I'm like, I've heard it a couple times, but not really. You know, I mean, they do obviously, but you know, in public land in the middle of Alabama, like, they kind of only gobble when they really, really, really got to gobble. Right. You know, especially you know, if he's going to be on the road or something. Especially, and if they, you know, I know they breed a lot in the evenings and stuff, but you can really gauge a turkey's temp in the evening. That's the only reason I like going is to figure out, like you said, like what half of this place are they on, or is there one here, or not necessarily. I'll go to a place that I know has had turkeys, and you know, the morning prior or something. They don't gobble at the evening. That don't discourage me one bit. They just didn't gobble that evening. Go back the next morning, and they're exactly where they were the morning before. But it is good to, if they're gonna gobble on and let you know, hey, I'm on this side or I'm on that side. Good to know going into it. I don't change really what I would do, but I definitely feel comfortable going, you know, 2 ridges over instead of sitting on the truck. You know, if I need to, and it's helped out a lot. And you can, I think you can kind of gauge that bird's temp. If he's hammering at night, and he's like up until 9 o'clock, just at every hoot owl, every coyote, every door slam, everything hammering. Sometimes I really think that means he's trying to really get a head start on didn't make it as far as I got called up and it got dark. Now I'm here and I'm really trying to figure out where I need to go in the morning. And he kind of gets a little worried, or you know, just real anxious. Probably by himself.
Almost
if
out
I had
of place.
To guess, you know. Yeah. He's not looking at all the hens hammering.
Right.
I could be wrong, but I mean, the ones who gobble once or twice, they're roosted with the hens. I'm talking mid to late season. And then the one that's hammering, he usually, when his feet hit the ground, he's going to hit the ground first, and he's going to move immediately. He's going to hit the ground and move probably to where the other gobbler was, or where the other guy's probably with the hens.
Right.
He didn't make it far enough before it got too dark, kind of got caught up. And that's a good spot to be if you can figure out to get between those two.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, it's kind of a 50-50 shot, but, you know, when you got 360 degrees to work with, if you're going to pick a spot, you know, I like to get between him and another turkey that was gobbling. A lot of times it does, you know.
One of them.
You're in a good spot.
Normally. Yeah.
But it's usually the one that gobbled the most the evening prior. And but yeah, I don't want to. We're getting there. We're getting in them rabbit holes. So we'll wrap up the story part at least. Because we got to record all of them first. So this is going to be something that we're new at, and hopefully work out all the kinks in the meantimes. But we do, you know, we appreciate y'all listening and watching. Now I guess we're going to get used to saying that. Appreciate y'all watching and tuning in, because this is something that we're going to really start pumping out. It's going to be, I know for a fact, we've got a video of at least 19, 20 different turkey hunts where we kill turkey.
That's another thing I'm excited about, because I have a good many hunts that I didn't have a camera. So y'all haven't, not only have I not told you, I hadn't even seen the highlights of it. So everything y'all hear is going to be brand new.
And I've got good number 2. So it's going to be fun to kind of dive into that, you know, and be real, you know, authentic in our storytelling, and kind of like what you just heard, and get to hear some theories and get debunked theories and stuff like that. And then you'll have a video to kind of correlate with on the YouTube channel. So we really encourage y'all, ask y'all to subscribe, to share. We should be able to put links down here, hopefully, on this YouTube stuff. If we can figure that out, it should be literally, you click it, you subscribe, you're going to get, you know, whenever we upload something, you find out it's on your home feed or however you see it. You'll know when the next video's out, and we're going to put them out at least once a week, and there's going to be a couple weeks where we're going to have more than one. And there's going to be some weeks where we have dang near 7 once a day kind of coming out. So we're going to stock up a lot of these storytelling to where we can really pump these out, when folks' minds are getting right for springtime. And we're going to get it all out of our system before, the NWTF convention around mid-February. Then we'll be able to start getting some guests on here. We're not going to just get, everybody and their mama as a guest. We're going to get, a handful of really good, well-noted turkey hunting guests. And really pick their brain and get some cool stories and stuff like that. And then we'll get into current week stuff. We're going to be going into a real turkey season, and we're going to talk about what happened that week. I don't think we're going to do this again. We've got, what we waited for was a studio, kind of setting to do these in. Now that we have that, we're going through June, we're going to have a lot of stuff to talk about then. And it's going to be kind of in real time. So, but looking forward to that. Looking forward to getting this Gator project solidified, done deal. I want to be very clear on, as we kind of branch off into this gear, that that nothing we produce or make is going to make turkey hunting any easier. This whole brand was founded on the fact that turkey hunting is not the easiest thing in the world. It's a pretty hard sport, if you want to call it that. It requires effort. It requires overcoming challenges. And a lot of adversity is associated with it. A lot of learning has to be had to be, consider yourself skilled. And like we just mentioned, I'm learning stuff after 20-something years of doing it left and right. And I know a lot of old pros who learn stuff in their 80s. It's fun that way, and that's what we like about it. So and we get into the when you have the means to start producing gear and stuff that you take along with you hunting. One thing I wanted to make sure was that we're never going to do anything that's going to make the hunt easier. Now, I hope some of y'all are able to become better turkey hunters, marginally due, thanks to some of the stuff we say on our podcast or stuff we're able to show you, lessons we've learned the hard way that you're able to avoid, or even with the gear and stuff with these gators, that you're able to hunt more, that you're able to hunt harder, that you're able to, travel further and get more opportunities to, really battle it out with, an old Eastern Longbeard or wherever you are. But what you do with that battle is up to you. That is in your hands. That is a one man, one bird, man versus man kind of game. We believe that's how it's supposed to be, as it should be. And I don't want to kind of lead anybody's perception astray that we're going to start coming out with all kinds of stuff just to make money. I think there's already a lot of stuff that is just being produced for the sole sake of making money and is marketed as it's going to make turkey hunting easy for everybody. We don't want to cross into that category, so to speak. And other than that, business as usual on all the other cylinders as well. So we got a lot to keep up with. We're still just us three kind of figuring it out. Yeah. And some of these episodes are going to be winged as not going to sound as rough as the first one, but because the more I listen to it, the more rough that does sound. I guess that means we are getting a little better. But
it couldn't have got any worse.
Yeah, we thought it was good then.
Oh yeah, we thought we'd done something.
But that's why I like documenting this stuff. This is cool. This is, this whole company is just an idea of something, we thought would be cool for us to have. Like, these gators are literally something that I wish somebody made, and might as well be us. Right. We might as well make it. Now we have the means to do that, and that's all we're still trying to do is just make stuff that we would like to have turkey hunting, or in daily lives that are centered around turkey hunting, or wish this happened, or wish somebody would come out with this. We've grown to where we can do that now, and that's all we want to do is just be able to provide that for other folks who are cut from the same cloth that we are. And that's why we want to, really just interact with folks who are, tuning in, and we really do develop relationships with folks who, have been keeping up with us, and we go hunting with them, and we hang out with them, and we text them, Snapchat them, all kinds, everything you can think of. We've become friends with a lot of folks who have, thanks to this podcast or thanks to this brand. And so we ask that y'all do follow along, follow us on social medias at Spring Legion across the board on everything from Instagram to YouTube to, I think we've got a Twitter, and what is the new one's called Threads, and we got TikTok, all the cool things, I guess. we're pumping out content left and right and interacting with folks and looking forward to what this season holds. But right now we got to focus on last season for a little while longer, so y'all are able to see it and able to hear about it, and I think you're going to enjoy it. So with that, we appreciate y'all listening to the Spring Legion podcast.